Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Burning Issues. Behind me it is pretty uh, bad weather. The rain's coming down, or it was. Biblical would be the phrase. I wanted to talk today about something that I think about quite a lot, and that's going all in on what you're doing. Now, most of the time that looks like your work, because you're spending most of your hours on that, and you're never going to beat the person who every wake moment that they're awake is thinking about whatever the endeavour is that you have decided to go down, whether it's coding or whether it's watch dealing like I do, whether it's podcasting, whether it's vlogging, all that sort of thing. You're never going to beat the person that's all in all the time, gives all their spare time to it, learning the craft, getting better at the craft, and falling in love with it, because it's always going to be challenging. There's going to be parts of that are boring. There's going to be parts that are exciting, and it's learning to just fall in love with what you're doing. The WeWork slogan was "Do what you love." I know it sounds very cliche, but it's absolutely true. Like, you're just not going to beat the person that's fallen in love with what they're doing day to day and has gone all in off the back of that. Going all in when you're not really so interested or invested, it's possible to win and do well, but I think inevitably the person who actually loves it is going to outperform and outmaneuver you over time, because they're going to stick at it longer, they're going to put more time into it. And of course that compounds. Like, you have compound interest, you have compounding in all areas of life. Indeed, with learning, the more books you read, the smarter you become, the more time you spend honing your craft, reading about it, learning around the subject, meeting new people, learning from them, the better you're going to become all round. At the same time, though, I think it is important that you have creative endeavours alongside. So whether that's writing blogs, or whether it is vlogging like we're doing here, whether it is painting or anything, I think creativity is an important aspect. And albeit you can go all in, we talk about it elsewhere, but burnout is obviously on the other side of that. So you kind of got to be careful that you are, yes, you're dedicated and committed to what you're doing and you're fully focused on it, and that is the thing you're going to spend considerable periods of time on, and also be aware of the danger of burnout, and that if all your life becomes is just one endless cycle of work, that's probably not going to make you all that satisfied, happy, and it's counterproductive, because you're not going to last again as long as the person that is doing it in a more blended way. We talk about that in previous vlogs. What I mean by that is that work-life blend, as I like to call it. And yeah, I just would say, the people that I meet that are all in with what they do, and the truth of the matter is, like, there isn't a set path. There isn't when you start doing that thing, albeit I think you naturally will feel a zest for it, and it feels very different from work that you don't enjoy, very much so. And if you're doing work right now that you don't enjoy, there'll be elements of that work that you're doing that you do enjoy. And it's trying to then move into a field where you're doing more elements of what you enjoy and less elements of what you don't enjoy, and eventually refining it to a point where you really do enjoy it, and again you can commit to being all in. And I could talk, I think another time, it's probably about not just focusing on the outcome, i.e. how much will you make by doing the endeavour. Clearly it has to be a market where that's possible, but if you're world class in anything, which however niche that might be, you'll be able to make a living and a decent one of that. Obviously that varies. A fisherman will make a certain amount. Okay, they could expand to a humongous company, but within reason, if you understand what I'm saying. Whereas somebody that is in high finance most likely will make more. That's just the nature of things. But that's just one element of thought processes that you should think about. There's the famous analogy, which I'll just discuss very briefly now, where a financier tells a fisherman, hey, if you added a boat more to your fleet, you could catch more fish. And the fisherman goes, okay, then what? And he goes, well, then you can actually get another boat and another boat and another boat and so on and so forth. And this goes on. And eventually the fisherman goes, okay, so I do all that and then what? And the fellow goes, well, then you can sell the company, have a load of money, and then you can spend the afternoons with your kids on the beach drinking beer. And it's like, well, look at me now, I'm already doing that. And there is a lot to be said for that. So, and it's really a bit off topic, but yes, go all in, but don't just focus on that one idea or project or passion that will make the most money. There needs to be money in it, of course, if you are focusing on that full time as a endeavour that you want to be your livelihood. Of course there does, and there's easier endeavours and harder endeavours, but at the end of the day it needs to be something that you're prepared to go all in on. That is the key.